Well, greetings everyone. Welcome to the Apptrepreneur Show. This is your daily dose of apps, technology, and even a little bit of entertainment in there once in a while. It's a great hour-long show. We're happy to have you. I am your host, Kevin, the Apptrepreneur. And first of all, before we begin, I do want to say, for the few of you who showed up yesterday, you might have known we had started a show yesterday. And because very, very early into the show, like right after I gave like a tribute to the late great Carl Reiner, I had to walk away. I had to cut the show early. It was only like 6 minutes we were live, and then I privated that video. I'm gonna make that video available to Patreon members and YouTube subscribers, not YouTube subscribers, YouTube members, just so that you can see how sometimes the best laid plans don't work out, and you have to kind of say, "Hey, I'm sorry," you have to walk away. And we've got RBX and Steve Kurbitz here. Welcome, guys, and welcome to everyone who is watching. If you're enjoying the show and everything, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps out with the algorithm. But here's a good thing about aborting yesterday's episode. There has not been that much news, except for like one story, really. So pretty much most of yesterday's show remains intact. We're just going to talk about the things we would have talked about yesterday, but didn't get a chance to, with a couple little exceptions. There's at least 2 news stories, and I removed one, so, you know. And, of course, the little pre-show talk is that, well, California's basically on lockdown again. Not completely, mind you, but 19 California counties, all of which affect me because me and my parents live in these counties, and these are sectors that have to close operations. Restaurants will have to close, except for takeout and delivery, of course. So if you're doing food delivery in any of the 19 counties that are listed here, you're probably going to get a lot busier. Wineries and tasting rooms, movie theaters. Oh, thanks, Karen. I don't get to see Tenet now. Family entertainment centers. We're talking about like the Chuck E. Cheese's and all that. Zoos and museums. Zoos and museums, for those of you who are not aware, are educational places you can go to see like live animals and historical artifacts. Card rooms. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know what a card room is, to be honest. Oops, I'm sorry. Folks, let's pause that. Tune it live. You gotta love. I hate it when that happens. So, and bars must close all operations. That's obviously going to affect you if you are an Uber or Lyft driver, because bar hours are pretty much your bread and butter. Now, the impacted counties for this include Contra Costa, Fresno, Glen, Imperial, Kern, Kings, Los Angeles, Merced, Orange, Riverside, Sacramento, where my parents reside, San Bernardino, San Joaquin, Santa Barbara, Santa Clara, Solano, Stanislaus, Tulare, and Ventura. So if you live in any of these counties, these things are basically going away again for the indefinite future. And look, I want to act like this is a surprise, but honestly, it's not. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I've been pretty disappointed with the public's reaction to all of this. I mean, when we started this whole thing, it seemed like we all were in this together. Like, we acknowledged that this was a serious thing and that we should all work together to curb it a little bit. But then the more and more people stayed indoors, the more restless they got, the more cabin fever, the more their introductory kind of came up. And it's not just the people not wearing the masks. I think that's a big part of it, but I know it's not the only reason. But it's also people not social distancing. I know it's people making these trips that are technically unnecessary. They don't need to. It's people going out when they feel sick. Like, you know, that's just... I think socially, that's one thing that's just going to have to stop. Like, hey, you know what? If you're sick, you just have to stay at home, and there has to be no penalization for staying home if you're not feeling sick. Because, you know, we have to get people out of that mindset. It's okay to go out and get people sick, whether it's the flu or the coronavirus. You know, it's just a lot of things going on, and... You know, I also unfortunately have to put churches in there. I think churches have been extremely bad about all of this, making this about personal religious liberties when it's not. They're not saying, you know, the state is not saying you can't go to church and worship God. They're saying you can't get in a public gathering and you can't sing with a group of people. You can do church servings over Zoom, and there's a bunch of Christian CDs. Heck, there's a lot of Christian music on Spotify. I've personally been listening to a lot of Sandy Patty recently. I think that's been very therapeutic, and you can worship at home. But, I know a lot of people at my church, I won't name names obviously, who have felt that if they can't go to church and sing in public, then guess what? They're not really worshiping God. And I don't know where that mindset's coming from. So there's just a lot of people have handled this extremely, extremely poorly. And as a result, well, we have to basically lock down again. And here's the thing. I know some people are probably in the chat room right now saying like, oh, the government wants to control you. They want this to happen. No, the government does not want this to happen. Trump doesn't want this to happen. I mean, the economy is one of the few things he has going for him. And when things like this happen, the economy suffers. And by the way, interestingly, we will be talking about Trump later. And this hurts people, and it weakens our position in the world. So no, nobody wants this to happen. They just want people to be safe, and they don't want the hospitals to be overcrowded. Now, one of the positive things about this, and I didn't pull up the chart, unfortunately. I don't know why I didn't pull up the chart. Even though the cases are going up, the death rate has been on the decline, which is happy to hear. I personally know 3 people who died from this thing, and it's not a fun thing to witness. So, I don't know. California's basically on lockdown again, and I wish I could say I was surprised. I really wish I could say I was surprised. But I'm not. I really am not. So, anyway, that's just like a quick little update, and especially for my viewers who are still doing Uber and stuff, if you're doing rideshare, you're going to lose a lot of business. But if you're doing food delivery, you will probably get a lot more business now. So anyway, I would like to know what you think about this. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. And hey, I see there's 20 people here. I know this is some of the topics are going to be testy, but hey, I would appreciate a thumbs up if you are enjoying the live stream thus far. But with that out of the way, let's talk about main topic number 1. And the main topic number 1 involves Uber. Like, I actually have like a really big bone to pick with Uber right now. And you know how like a couple days ago I said I'm pretty much out of the gig economy business, but then once in a while they bring me back. They bring me back with something so stupid that it's like, oh my gosh, do you not know what you are doing, guys? Do you not know what you are doing? So anyway, for those of you who follow me on Twitter, and this is my Twitter handler if you want to follow me, by the way, and my Twitter is usually fairly benign. I share videos, I comment on entertainment. You're not going to see me commenting about too many world affairs, but I did retweet this Uber post, and I wrote, oh man, this tweet is so going to bite you in the ass on my podcast today. I was up at like 12:30 a.m. I didn't sleep very well last night, to be honest. And what it was is this. It's this little commercial. Let's just look at real quick. Gotta love the music. Uber driver, when the world stopped, they didn't. They've done their part. Thank them by doing yours. You mean tip? No mask, no ride. Uber. Okay, so here's the thing. This is not a surprise. I mean, whether you agree that Uber should be requiring masks or not, Uber's made it very clear that you need to be wearing a mask. In fact, here's another thing. Dara Khosrowshahi actually shared this article that USA Today posted, and he said, extending our mandatory mask policy is the right thing to do. Help keep yourself, your driver, and the next rider safe. No mask, no ride. Now again, that has been absolutely clear for a while now. They have not made this a secret. This would not normally be a story, by the way, because it's like, why reiterate what we already know, right? And I mean, of course, I have to reiterate that this is another reason why you're not an independent contractor. You are an employee because they can actually, tell you what to do. Now, that said, and let me pull this up real quick. I saw that I was having some issues. You would think that they would actually, back up like, hey, they're making a commercial about it. The CEO is writing a tweet. But then, of course, the question is, well, why on earth would they be stressing this so much? Is it just because California reclosed? No. I think it has a lot more to do with this, where an Uber driver denies unmasked riders and got fired for the complaints. Now, rather than read the story, let's see what he has to say about it personally. Get this out of the way.
News Center Maine's Hannah Deneen shows us the driver says it all stems from riders refusing to wear masks.
In the beginning, I would ask them, I would plead with them. I would stay there, pleading.
Former Uber driver Danny Darling would plead for riders to wear a mask.
I would give the middle finger. I would give my car kick. I would give my car punch.
Worried for his safety, Darling began to cancel.
By the way, for all the people who don't believe in wearing masks, I'm just curious, is that behavior okay? Like, is that an appropriate response to someone telling you that you're either going to wear a mask or not getting a ride? Just curious.
Rides when riders would approach without a mask.
Oh, I love that Batman mask. Love that Batman mask.
Citing the violation.
That's one of the features that Uber started doing on June 1st, that you could cancel them for not wearing a mask.
Also starting June 1st, before accepting a ride through the Uber app, riders must agree to wear a mask. Darling didn't mind losing some business.
I'm not financially that desperate. I don't want to die or get sick going to work.
That's, by the way, a very fair thing. Like, hey, this job does not pay much. In fact, for all of Uber's, praising of the drivers and they're helping you out and stuff, like, are they actually paying the drivers anymore? No. So you don't want to get sick doing this. So I think it's reasonable to expect your customers to wear a mask. Again, it's the no shirt, no shoes, no service policy. Now you're just adding a mask to it, and I'm sorry, but I don't believe breathing problems is such a big thing that 50% of the nation can't wear a mask. But this is where things are going to get ugly.
The problem, those riders he refused to pick up filed complaints.
I was under the assumption that Uber would protect you right now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at this guy. Not really. But it's like, I'm amazed that there are still people out there who think this. Like, I believe Uber will protect me. It's like, no, they won't. I mean, and this is why Uber drivers should have been watching channels like mine quite a bit more than they actually did. Because if they did watch the channels, they would know that Uber's not here for you. They're here for them.
Driving for Uber full-time, Darling was told he could no longer work for the company.
Now, here's another thing I want to ask. If it's your own business, because I can see some anti-maskers in here saying, hey, well, that's good. That's discrimination. I have a health problem, whatever. But here's the thing. Again, aren't you an independent contractor? What are the rules at this point? If you're an independent contractor, you actually should be allowed to require masks. And if someone doesn't want to wear a mask, you should have the right to not pick them up. Right now, that is not a legitimate medical reason to turn people away. If they say, I have a hard time breathing, well, too bad. Can't. If you have a hard time breathing, you should probably not be going outside during a pandemic anyway. But it's your business. You're supposed to be able to do what you want. And then Uber can just deactivate you because they complain. So, again, and here's the thing. They're deactivating you for following their rules. So what is it? Are you going to get deactivated for not following Uber's rules? Or are you going to be deactivated for following Uber's rules? I don't know what their thinking is right now.
Uber cited unsafe practices and problematic behavior.
Honestly, I love helping people. I love it. I love bringing people to the places they need to go.
And this is why a lot of people still do Uber, even though Uber doesn't pay very well.
Another Portland area Uber driver who wished to remain anonymous says he won't refuse unmasked riders.
I've taken it myself to, still give the ride because this is my life, this is my job. I can't afford to get fired over, false information.
Showing.
Now, I think this is interesting. First of all, he says it right there, like, I can't afford to get fired over false information. Well, you're going to get fired over false information at some point. Someone's eventually just going to want your ride. But why is he saying this anonymously? Because, well, he's speaking out against the company, and even though Uber has, like, again, publicly stated, no mask, no ride, that's what they're saying. Clearly, they don't mind suspending people over this. So, there you go.
When rideshare drivers face a dilemma, protect their health and that of everyone they drive,
I'm not wearing my Batman mask to protect me.
or risk bad ratings, or worse, losing a job they love. In Portland, Hannah Deneen, News Center, Maine.
Yeah, so I feel very, very bad for Danny here. Like, he should not have been deactivated. I mean, very, very few people need to be deactivated on Uber's platform, I have to be honest. Most of the time, the reasons they get deactivated is because of a false complaint. But I just don't know, where is Uber's line on this? They have made it clear, no mask, no ride. They're making the riders say this, but I think what happened here, honestly, and this is where there's like a huge loophole in all of this. I believe what's going on is that I see the audio wasn't working very well. Well, you might have to turn that up. I'll make it a point to fix that next time. Sorry, folks, but here's the thing. Where was I? I think what happened here is that people, when they were complaining about this guy not picking them up, they weren't complaining about him not picking them up because they weren't wearing a mask. They were saying he looked at them and moved on. Maybe they say he made a racist comment. Maybe they said he saw I was in a wheelchair, or he said that I saw that I had like a, service animal and wouldn't pick me up. Like, they're not going to say they didn't pick me up because I'm not wearing a mask. They're not going to say that. So, I think that's what happened, and that's why I got fired. By the way, one more little thing, because I just know that most of the people who are anti-maskers is what I'm calling them, tend to lean conservative and tend to be, religious and Trump supporters. And look, I'm certainly to a certain extent some of those. But I just want to add, Trump is now saying he's all for masks after publicly refusing to wear one for himself for months. Now, of course, President Trump tends to change his mind quite sporadically sometimes, but here's the thing. Now even Trump is saying that that masks are good. And by the way, I kind of saw this coming, because the last time he said something about the masks a couple days ago was he said masks were a double-edged sword, which was basically his way to ease his way into saying, okay, I was wrong about this. Anyway, just pointing that out. So now everyone is officially saying wear a mask. So wear your damn mask. But also know that if you're an Uber driver and you actually try to protect your health and you don't want to pick people up who aren't wearing a mask, well, you can be deactivated. It's just that simple. Anyway, I would love to know what you think about all of this. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Now then, this is not soda, by the way. This is LaCroix, so it's sparkling water. I just wanted a little bit of flavor today. But anyway, hey, if you're enjoying the show, please give a thumbs up. It really helps us out. But with all that out of the way, let's talk about main topic number 2. And the second main topic, we've actually got a few Uber topics today, but we're talking about Uber because, Uber has not handled the pandemic well. I mean, they're still not handling it well. I mean, they're firing drivers for following their own policy. I mean, that's not handling things very well. But Uber has also fired a lot of people. People who worked for Uber. Famously, over 3,000 of them were fired over like a 3-minute Zoom call and basically told to hit the road, Jack. There's no place for them here. And that was like a pretty heartless moment. I think we could all agree that was heartless. I mean, it was kind of like being an Uber driver and being deactivated for no reason. But here's the thing. If you work for Uber, you do have at least one little... Uber treated you better still. Because they gave you like 10 weeks severance pay, benefits to the end of the year, And in some situations, they actually paid cash to some of the laid off employees for unvested stock. Now, for those of you who don't know what unvested stock is, sometimes when you work for a big multi-million/multi-billion-dollar corporation, some of the salary benefits are reduced in exchange for stock options. Like, you accumulate stock as you work there. That's one of the reasons why I, by the way, have a lot of Disney stock, because when I worked at Disney, part of the payment was that you could have Disney stock. I mean, you'd have to put a little in for your money in yourself, but they would match it. And so I walked away with quite a bit of Disney stock. And Uber did end up paying some of the employees for that invested stock. But here's the thing. Some of them are unhappy about the price they paid because Uber, surprise, surprise, did some underhanded things to shortchange their employees, because of course they did. Now then, let's look about what's going on. So, for instance, Uber paid employees an extra lump sum if they were about to have a tranche of restricted stock units vest within 3 months had they not been terminated, as long as they signed waivers and non-disparage agreements. Tech companies like Uber include stock compensation as part of an employee's total package pay. Often the amount of stock is negotiated when an employee first joins the company. An employee may even take less cash salary and more stock, which then vests over a number of years, typically 4. So as employees contribute to the company's overall success and the stock price rises, employees can earn more on the stock than on their pay. Although I don't know if that's entirely true, the Uber stock has done very poorly. Dozens of employees qualified for this extra payment according to an analyst of the Publicis list of laid-off employees, and possibly more people qualified than we could find on the list, because participation on that list is voluntary and doesn't include all the people who are laid off. Uber paid these employees about $27 for each share of stock. Yet some employees were not happy about this payment because of the method Uber used to come up with the $27 share price. Uber calculated the average price across the month of April, a point in a time when COVID-19 had ransacked the travel industry and the stock was down but starting to inch back up. Uber conducted the layoffs in May and left everyone on the formal payroll for a month until June 17th, sources say, aka 4 weeks of garden pay. If it had used May's average share price or even the days before employees were formally off the payroll, those employees would be paid about $32 a share. So here's what's basically happening. What's happening is that, of course, the stock fluctuates. Now, Uber paid cash on the stock based on earnings of a certain time period. However, they didn't use any of the time periods that were beneficial to the employees. Like a lot of people, as I say right here, I'm sorry, hold on one second. I'm just going to close that tab. That's just becoming a problem. Is that these employees were off the payroll a month before the stock hit pretty low in April. And the stock went up in May. Well, even though they were off the payroll, they should have been considered for the March stock price or even the May stock price, because they hadn't officially been terminated yet. Uber decided to base the share price off April because it was the lowest point of the stock that they could get away with. And it adds up, because for some people who are due to have a large tranche vest, those couple of bucks per share added up to thousands of dollars. And this former employee said, due to pandemic, the entire stock market sold off in March and April, so that was an artificially deflated value. They are choosing a value to pay the least amount. Wow. It's almost as if Uber is like a terrible company and don't treat people correctly. I don't know. This seems like that way to me. So here's the thing. Some of you might be asking me, like, what does this have to do with me? I mean, it's not like they paid drivers anything. Like, they said that they would pay some sick time, but, they paid like less than only a few $1 million, really. But I think it just goes to show once again that, hey, you know what? Uber is scummy to everyone. They don't care about anyone who works for them. I don't think Dara Khosrowshahi's stance that we do the right thing, period, I don't think it actually means anything. I really don't think it means anything, and I've stated it over and over again, and all that jazz. Now, by the way, another reason that they might have been trying to shortchange the employees is because they want money to buy someone. I was going to make this its own topic, but it's like, maybe we could just roll it in real quick, because Uber, hungry for a deal, now reportedly in talks to acquire Postmates. Now, I talked about this like several days ago, how Uber was going to buy Grubhub, and then they lost the deal to Just Takeout, and then there was a rumor that they were going to acquire Postmates, and I thought, well, that's probably not going to happen. Postmates doesn't make money. Like, Grubhub was, attractive because, it gave them some monopolistic power. Grubhub was profitable, at least as far as I'm aware. It would boost their stock value. What does buying Postmates actually do for Uber other than give them another company? I don't know. And analysts and reporters are not impressed with it. So they're in talks to buy Postmates, a 9-year-old delivery startup, for about $2.6 billion. Uber and Postmates declined to comment, but here's the thing. Where do you think Uber is getting that money? They're getting it from shaving the proper amount of money they should be paying their employees off. They get it, of course, from drivers and screwing the drivers and denying them their sick pay. This is Uber. I mean, it's not too surprising. I don't even know what else to say about it anymore. Like, we're not we're not surprised anymore. Like, what do you want me to say? This is why on the Apptrepreneur show we talk about other things other than ride-sharing gig economy, because who's surprised by this anymore? No one is surprised by this anymore. That's who. So anyway, I would like to know, though, what your thoughts are. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one. Now then, I'm actually going to skip the next topic because we kind of already covered it in the first one. But with that said, let's talk about main topic number 3. And main topic number 3, we're talking about more bankruptcies. Because, there's a lot of people filing for bankruptcy during this time period. Chuck E. Cheese bit the dust, and Soup Plantation bit the dust. JCPenney bit the dust, although they probably were going to bite the dust one way or the other. And now, well, Pizza Hut and Wendy's franchisee are on the verge of Chapter 11. Now, let's make something absolutely clear. Pizza Hut and Wendy's are owned by Yum Brands. Yum Brands is not in danger of going bankrupt. In fact, I think Yum Brands is one of the few companies that are doing really well during all this because they have a lot of restaurants that specialize in takeout and delivery. But they do franchise a lot of their stores out there, and there is a franchisee who has franchised a lot of Pizza Huts and a lot of Wendy's, and they're on the verge of Chapter 11. So let's look at this. A franchise owner of more than 1,200 Pizza Huts and 385 Wendy's restaurants is reportedly seeking bankruptcy protection. The franchisee, NPC International, is one of the largest chain owners in the U.S. The company employs about 37,000 workers. NPC International was downgraded by S&P Global Ratings as well as Moody's Investor Service after missing an interest payment on a loan that neared $800 million at the end of January, the Wall Street Journal reported. At the time, the company was already in talks with its lenders and considering a possible bankruptcy filing, sources told the Journal. The decision to file for bankruptcy comes despite a slight sales increase during the pandemic. So NBC joins the number of other restaurants that filed for Chapter 11 during the pandemic, like Chuck E. Cheese and Peter Piper Pizza, well, the parent company of those. And in May, of course, Garden Fresh Restaurants, the parent company of Soup Plantation and Sweet Tomatoes, closed the stores for good. So here's the thing. This is still affecting us all around. Now, I'm not much of a Pizza Hut fan, to be perfectly honest. And I don't own... Well, actually, I take that back. I do own Pizza Hut stock because I have Yum Brands. I do like Wendy's and Taco Bell and things like that. But when it comes to pizza, I much prefer What a Lot of Pizza. I prefer Papa John's. I actually kind of like Chuck E. Cheese pizza. They changed their pizza quite a bit recently, so I'm kind of surprised. If you buy it under Pasquale's, it's not bad. But this is just sad, because the question is, like, okay, if this franchisee goes under, then that's about 1,500 stores that get closed, and if each store, hire a dozen or two employees to run the stores, like, that's a lot of jobs being lost, and it's going to be hard to rent those spaces. This is the ugliness of the pandemic. This is the ugliness. Everyone's getting hurt by this, and it's just sad. It's just sad. So just kind of keep it in the back of your mind. This stuff is still going on, and we're not out of the woods yet, But I would like to know if that bothers you at all, that a bunch of Pizza Huts and Wendy's might be closing. Never mind the other franchisees that they didn't mention, because if that place goes under, then other franchises that they have would be going under as well. So I'd like to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Now that I'm just going to look over the comments real quick. Ooh, there's some good comments in there. I can't. This is interesting conversation happening in the comment section. Thank you guys. We'll definitely be talking about that in a bit. But anyway, let me see. Is this one that I want to talk about real quick? Yeah, I think I'm going to talk about this. So anyway, let's talk about main topic number 4. And the fourth main topic revolves around Amazon and their warehouses, because Amazon's warehouses have come under increased fire for basically not being safe for employees. And I mean, it's not a surprise. Can you honestly say you're surprised? They're in enclosed spaces. They're elbow to elbow with people. It's like to do things safely at Amazon would be like a huge disruption of their product. And much like how Amazon is all about the environment, except they won't change how they do their business, because their business is one of the biggest contributors to bad waste in the planet. Well, they don't want to invest that much into safe working conditions because it would affect their sales. And a new memo, an internal memo, came out that revealed that COVID-19 was more prevalent in Minnesota warehouses than the surrounding areas. Now, here's why we're going to talk about this one. An Amazon warehouse in Minnesota exceeded community infection rates for the coronavirus, according to an internal memo, contradicting the company's public statements that COVID-19 cases at its facilities were in line with or better than rates in nearby areas. Because Amazon's going to the public and saying, no, we're safer than most warehouses, we've got this under control, and yet an internal warehouse shows that this Minnesota warehouse exceeded community infection rates. At least 45 workers at Amazon's Shakopee facility, known as MSP1, have fallen sick with the coronavirus, resulting in a rate of infection of 1.7%, according to the memo circulated at the facility, which was viewed by CNBC and first reported by Bloomberg. The memo, which was issued mid-May, shows that infections were nearly 5 times the rate of the surrounding counties and far higher than the rate of 0.1% in Scott County, where MSP1 is located. The data calls into question Amazon's previous messaging around coronavirus cases at its facilities. Amazon employees, members of the media, and lawmakers have repeatedly urged it to disclose the total number of deaths and infections at warehouses, but so far the company has declined, arguing the number isn't useful. So what's going on? Well, Amazon's basically trying to cover their own behind, if you know what I mean. Amazon wants to put on the show that they're safe, that they're considerate, and that, well, they're doing everything they can. Like, hey, we're better than most people. We're being the responsible ones, but they have failed time and time again. You know, from the people that they fired for speaking out against the unsafe working conditions to the fact that they cut pay. Like, they cut pandemic pay before the pandemic was even over. And now an internal memo reveals that, well, at least at this warehouse, their numbers were far worse than most places. 45% is not a number you want to brag about in this situation. And it does make you wonder, are other warehouses in a similar position and Amazon's simply not saying anything? I'm leaning towards that, yes, that is probably what is going on. They are probably not being completely honest about this. They're probably not. And what else do we expect from them? I don't know. I mean, I am wondering, when is Amazon going to be looked at for their almost criminal behavior for the past 20 years? I don't know. I mean, I keep hearing that Google's about to be served by the DOJ. Maybe Amazon is next. I don't know, but I would like to know, what do you think about this? Does this news surprise you? Does it not surprise you? Do you work in that warehouse, and what's it like to work there? I'd love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Now then, this next topic is fairly short. This is pretty short. We're going to move on pretty quickly from this one. So I do think it's kind of an interesting idea, though. But now you can watch Amazon TV shows and movies with up to 100 friends virtually through a new feature called Watch Party. Now, according to Business Insider, Amazon is launching a new feature for watching Prime TV shows and movies with friends remotely called Watch Party. You can start a watch party with up to 100 people, but the feature is only available for Prime members in the US and only works on a desktop web browser, so that's going to kind of defeat the purpose of this. The launch comes after rivals like Hulu and HBO rolled out similar features. So what's going on with a lot of these streaming services is because we're all cooped up and we want the social interaction. I think Netflix was actually the first to do this, that you could have like a watch party. You can invite your friends to a movie and you could all watch and comment and hang out like a group of people. And it's an interesting idea. I mean, during a pandemic, I'll certainly take what I can get, but I hear the feature is not super popular because if you're really there to watch the movie, then the chat features and stuff is frankly annoying and it gets more in the way. I have personally done this for my movie parties during this pandemic. I text a bunch of people and I say, hey, at 7 p.m. on this day, who's up for a movie party? We will watch the movie at either 7 p.m. or maybe even start at 5 minutes early. And then like 10 minutes after the movie's over, we'll all get together on a Zoom call and we'll have like a little discussion. And that's how we can have our movie club. So, I mean, the only thing is like everyone has to have access to that movie, but for most people, that's not an issue. So it's a neat little feature, but you know, I'm curious. What do you think about it? Would you ever use Amazon's watch party feature? I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Now then, if you have not given me a thumbs up or left a question for after the show, feel free to do that right now. I'm definitely, we're going to be getting to your comments after these last two topics, and these should not take too long. But here's main topic number, I think we're on 5. This might be 5. I don't know. But since we're talking about streaming and cord cutting, you know, a lot of people have been watching more and more TV at home. I mean, it's one of the big things you can do. I've certainly watched a lot of things that I never thought I would watch, and I'm the guy who likes to watch everything if possible. I've also been watching a lot of my discs that, you know, I bought years ago and then never actually watched, so I've actually been enjoying that. But a lot of people have actually turned back to TV, but they don't want to pay cable prices. They want to pay for streaming. And one of the streaming services when it comes to live TV that's really popular is YouTube TV. And full disclosure, I have YouTube TV. I don't know if I'm going to have it a whole lot longer though, because Hulu also offers YouTube TV and they were priced pretty similarly until recently, because YouTube TV has hiked the price to $64.99 per month following new channel additions. So here's what TechCrunch says. YouTube TV is getting another price hike, making its live TV streaming service less competitive with cable TV services it aims to replace. The company announced today its service will now cost $64.99 per month starting today, June 30th. For new members, the change will also be reflected on the next billing cycle for current members after June 30th. So yeah, considering like most people cut the cord because they don't want to pay like $80 to $100 to have a cable TV package, this comes dangerously close to being that cable TV package. Now, this is not the first price bump. YouTube TV did go up $5 per month in 2018. And then, because I think it started at like $30 a month, then it went to $35, and then it jumped to $50 per month. And now it's $65. Now, the reason they're raising the prices is because of the rising cost of programming for streaming TV service as the pay TV industry collapses and amid a rise in cord cutting. Now, they are adding more channels to YouTube TV. They are adding BET, CMT, Comedy Central, MTV, Nickelodeon, Paramount Network, TV Land, and VH1. It's interesting that they're putting the Paramount Network in there because, you know what? I actually would have wanted to have the Paramount Network so I could watch Cops. But Cops is no longer on the Paramount Network. They took it off. Now, other channels that are part of the same deal include BET Her, MTV2, MTV Classic, Nick Jr., Nicktoons, and Teen Nick are due to arrive at a later date. What's interesting is like a lot of these Nick channels and Paramount and stuff, I believe they're all going to be part of that CBS All Access rebooted app that they're releasing, and considering, like, South Park you can now watch on HBO Max, and music videos you can watch on YouTube, regular YouTube, I guess. This isn't that much. I mean, I think most people would have been able to have lived without these channels and would have rather not paid the extra $20. And it's like, it's really not a good time to do this. There's so many streaming services coming out, many of which are actually cheap because they want you to come to their platform during this pandemic. And now YouTube is becoming almost as expensive as cable. So I don't know what they're thinking. And then when we look at our final story next, you'll see why that's also especially bad timing. But I would like to know, what do you think about it? Does any of you have YouTube TV? And if so, does this price hike convince you that maybe you don't want it anymore? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one. And now let's do the final topic before we move on to the comments and the chat. And, well, here's the thing. You know how we were just talking about how YouTube TV probably picked a pretty bad time to raise their prices? Because here's the thing. Cable is dying. I don't believe that streaming will kill movie theaters. I don't believe streaming will necessarily kill discs. Although there is that new company, Kaleidoscope, which I do want to talk about maybe in tomorrow's episode. But one thing it will kill is TV, because live TV is pretty archaic at this point. On demand is so much more convenient, and with all the companies making more apps, it's basically going to be like an a la carte that we want. Like, we're going to have certain channels are just going to become apps, and I think regular TV will survive for a little while longer because you have elderly people who don't really do the streaming thing and they're not familiar with it, and there's still a market, but it's a market that's fast dying. Well, one of the ways you know that the market's fast dying is when Disney decides that they don't want to do the Disney Channel anymore. Now, the Disney Channel, whether you watch it or not, has been a staple of cable TV for years. It actually started as a premium channel in the 90s. Like, you actually paid extra for it, like HBO and stuff like that. And then it started airing Lizzie McGuire and became a tween network, and parents didn't want to pay a premium for a tween network, so it became a basic, cable channel, which also suited Disney because it meant more eyeballs. But in the UK, Disney Channel is going to be eliminated, and the titles will be moved to Disney Plus. So here's the article. The Disney Channel, Disney XD, and Disney Junior will cease to exist in the UK come October 1st as Disney moves those channel titles exclusively to Disney Plus. The move comes after Disney failed to reach a distribution agreement with Sky and Virgin Media, according to trade publication Broadcast. Sky, which is owned by Comcast, is one of the largest pay TV services in the UK. Sky's premium pay TV service, Sky Q, also offers Disney Plus to its customers. Disney's other television channels, including National Geographic, Nat Geo Wild, and Fox, will continue to be aired. But here's the thing. These are the big ones. These are really, really big ones. And here's the thing. If these channels were to ever go away in America, that would put a huge damper on the value of a cable package. But look, in the UK, it's already happening. In Australia, it might also happen soon. But I think, I'm thinking this is like just the beginning. And I didn't think it would start with a company as big as Disney, but Disney said, yeah, no, we don't want to do this anymore. We want to be about streaming. We want people to do the Disney Plus service. That's what they're going to be after. And, you can tell that Disney has definitely, committed to building Disney Plus. I mean, they dumped Artemis Fowl on Disney Plus. Granted, that movie was probably not going to do well in theaters anyway, but they put it on Disney Plus because they knew that would get people to watch. Hamilton's going to be going up in a couple days. That probably would have made $50 million in theaters, but hey, with the theaters closed and everything, might as well use it to get people to sign up for Disney Plus. And they're even doing the shrewd thing. They took away the 7-day free trial, basically to see if people would pay just to watch Hamilton. That might be a new way that they could get people to pay for these internet movies, is you cut the free trial a week and a half before the movie actually premieres to prevent people from watching it for free. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, this is the beginning of the end for cable TV. I mean, once Disney starts removing channels, and again, this is the UK, this is not the US, but it's probably going to come to the US as well. They're going to get into a contract negotiation with Comcast or whatever cable provider they have. They're going to say no, and then they're going to remove the channels, and they're going to say, okay, we're removing these channels, but guess what? All the programming on these channels, you can watch on Disney Plus. Come straight to us for that. And I don't know what the cable companies can do at this point to actually change it. So anyway, I would like to know, does this disappoint you? Does this mean that, do you think that cable TV is eventually going to go away, or do you think that this is just an anomaly? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Now then, we are done with the main topics. Let us now talk to the people in the chat room. And I see there's 19. And hey, if any of you have not given a thumbs up, please do. It would be great. So yeah, we've got Jody here. We've got Stevie Curbs here. We got RBX here, and Steven SS, who's giving a little signal. I'm assuming that's for one of our earlier stories. Now, Travis says, when I look at movie theaters like AMC, we have a location in rural North Dakota that has a low virus transmission. That location could open and do old movies. You know, that, here's the thing. I'm just going to show, like, I did consider briefly talking about the fact that Regal and Cinemark have basically delayed their plans to start reopening the movie theaters because, you know, the major movies have been delayed. But I didn't do it because I felt that kind of fell under the whole, California closed thing. But I might as well take a moment to answer your question. Yeah, I'm thinking the theaters have to make like a real choice soon, because with California being reclosed, basically, with no guarantee that it's going to be open in August, and New York might be following suit. I know those are the movies' biggest markets, but here's the thing. The studios are going to delay those movies again. But the theaters can't stay closed forever. So I think the theaters will have to make a choice. They'll have to make a deal with the movie theaters or something like, hey, I know we can't open California, New York, and maybe not even Florida, but here's the other 47 states we can open our theaters in. Why don't we open those theaters, show classic movies, maybe you waive your fee this time to kind of help us out here a little bit, and we will share classic movies and until new movies can arrive. And this would also be good because it would give them time to implement their new safety measures to make sure they work. But I don't think they can just keep waiting for Tenet. I think they have to make a choice. And if Tenet and Mulan move one more time, I think AMC, Cinemark, Regal, they all have to basically say, screw it, reopen the theaters. We'll show classics until it's time. So Ang Lee says it's a cover for currency reset. Oh, one of those conspiracies. Okay. Hey, Ryan, how you doing? Abstract Echo, welcome. Audio in the video is low. Yeah, I did notice that. We'll work on that next time. I'll make sure to turn the volume up. Now that I think about it, oh yeah, those speakers are pretty low, so that was my mistake. Sorry, folks. Maybe when it's time to re-upload it, I will heighten the volume for those scenes. So, anyway. Abstract Echo says, I wear a mask, but forcing citizens to wear a mask is unconstitutional. I don't think that is. I really don't think it is. Let me explain why. I personally believe, there's a lot of things that, you do have a choice in, but when it comes to the safety of other people, not just yourself, but other people, then I'm actually okay with that. Because here's my question. Is it unconstitutional to have to wear a seatbelt? Is it? Is it unconstitutional that you cannot go out into the world drunk and get behind the wheel of a car? I mean, hey, it's your choice to drink and drive. I mean, that is your choice to make, right? So why is it illegal to say that you can't do it? Because it hurts other people. That's why. And here's the thing. Is it unconstitutional for a restaurant and bar to say no shoes, no shirt, no service? No, of course not, because it's their private business. They can tell you what to wear at all. If they say, hey, you can only be allowed into this establishment if you wear a green shirt, then those are the rules. So I think people need to really take a step back and really think about what they're saying about these things. They're asking you to put a piece of cloth over your mouth when you're out and about around people. Heck, if you're out in the middle of nowhere and there's nobody there, then yeah, by all means, don't wear your mask. But no, I don't think it's unconstitutional. I don't think that's really taken away a right. And here's the thing. I don't even think the businesses want you to wear a mask, because here's the thing. You know what happens when people wear masks? Well, if they start a fire at your business or they stick you up with a gun, guess what? You don't see their faces. So I think many people want this mask thing to be over with for practical reasons sooner, but for the time being, we just have to do it. Now, George says, I am a religious person and I wear a mask. Even Jesus didn't jump from the mountain to tempt God. Yeah, well, that's something that's because I did read like a funny comment on Twitter once that I did find a little oxymoronic, where they said if Jesus were around, he would wear a mask. And I'm kind of thinking, no, he actually probably wouldn't wear a mask because he's the Son of God. He doesn't have to worry about getting sick by the coronavirus if he didn't want to be sick. So that's a false thing. But Jesus did tell a lot of people to do things that would keep them safe that people didn't listen to anyway. So, and you're right, he didn't jump from the mountain to tempt God. He went to the mountain to pray, and Satan came and tried to tempt Jesus. Jesus doesn't tempt God. Jesus follows God. Oh, I like how that was written. So, hey Mark, how you doing? And Mike says, why don't we follow the nations with the success? Oh, hold on. Of the pandemic. I don't know why. I mean, you look at like Italy and Japan and Taiwan, they've really kicked this thing's butt. And even like South Korea. And what do? Everyone's wearing their mask. They're all doing their social distancing. They're not making unnecessary trips. I mean, it actually isn't even as hard as it sounds, but there you go. Let's see here. Apptrepreneur says, we used to be able to virtually watch movies with friends on PlayStation Home. Yeah, PlayStation Home did have that feature. So I will admit, I've ran movie clubs for a long time. And I like sitting people in the room, we watch the movie, and then I kind of get up and I do like the little Q&A and we do a discussion. And so I kind of miss that. But there's ways you can do that. And I kind of like that these virtual parties are there. But like I said, my personal preference is that, we set up, we watch the movie, and then we all get on a Zoom call or something afterwards. Let's see here. Mark says, Roger says, I got free Hulu. Well, we must be logging into someone then. Mark says, squeeze as much money as you can out of the consumers. And Fredistium, who, I haven't seen you in a while, says, your channel died. No, my channel didn't die. It really didn't. Some people say that, but no, it's chugging along pretty nicely, actually. So, I mean, I think people say that because they don't like that I talk about non-Uber stuff now, but it's like, hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And, maybe they don't agree with this mask thing, which, I don't care about. You know what annoys me the most is people who come to me and they say, hey, I don't agree with your opinion, so you better have my opinion or I'm going to unsubscribe. My reaction to that is like, bye-bye. Bye-bye. I mean, here's the thing. Call me vain or something, but I think you should come here for my opinion. That's why it's my channel. If you don't like my opinion, then yeah, you can move on, but don't make me try to change my opinion for you. So, I don't know if that's exactly what you're saying, but no, the channel's doing fine as far as I'm concerned. So, if it's here's the thing. If the channel's dead, then hey, I wouldn't be updating. And heck, maybe I would even still be updating. I don't know. I enjoy making videos, so and anyway, Rideshare Source Driver, I want lockdown in Illinois. No, you really shouldn't want a lockdown. You really shouldn't want a lockdown. I mean, if the lockdown is necessary, oh well, it's necessary. But you shouldn't want the lockdown because a lot of people suffer when there's a lockdown. So that's actually one of the reasons why I'm a little upset about California locking down. It's like I didn't want us to lock down again. I wanted businesses to get back to what they were doing. I wanted us to go back to movies and, dances and things like that. I wanted us to do this responsibly, but I guess we just couldn't do it. So now we're basically in lockdown again. Now then, Ryan says, Disney Channel was way better when they were a premium channel, although it was still worth watching from 1997 to 2002 because of Walt Disney. Yeah, of course it was much better when it was a premium channel. It's a premium channel, but, times change. Dee Dee says, I'll come bolt your doors shut from the outside then. No, that actually is illegal, and that is unconstitutional. And I'm sorry, Dee Dee. There's a huge difference from saying, "Hey, you have to wear a mask when you go grocery shopping." To, well, I will lock you in your house. No, that is a false way of thinking, and you know it. So, he also said Disney Plus only got all those subs when it first launched because practically every Verizon customer got it for free at launch. I'm not entirely going to disagree with you on that. I think that helped a lot. I think that helped them a lot. I mean, there's a lot of Verizon customers, and they got like a year free now. I think that year is almost up, so it will be interesting to see what happens when it's time to renew for once all those Verizon customers have to pay for it now. Will they actually pay for it? My subscription is paid for the first 3 years, and I think it's kind of scary to think that we're already up to the first year. So I've got a couple more years with it before I decide if I want to continue with it. Let's see here. Anyway, let's Nathaniel. Hey, welcome, Nathaniel. Says, "Hey, Kevin, I'm driving, so I can't." Oh, okay. Well, thank you for stopping in anyway. I hope you're enjoying listening to it. Stevie Kerb said, "Never had YouTube TV." I don't know a lot of people have YouTube TV either. My dad does. Ryan says, "I won't be sad, to be honest. I stopped liking Disney Channel after 2002 when Walt Disney was removed, although I did like a few things that came later, like Phineas and Ferb, Gravity Falls, and DuckTales." Yeah, no, I think Disney Channel basically moved on from the adult crowd. They pretty much wanted teens again. And Roger said, "LOL," and that's why we have a spike. Abstract Echo says it is unconstitutional to make people wear seatbelts. Well, I disagree. I completely disagree. You do say businesses have a right to make people wear masks, well, I'm going to get to your third comment later, Abstract Echo. I think that's another misguided thing. No, I'll tackle it now. First of all, I think it's interesting that you say businesses have a right to wear masks, and yet people like you who say it is unconstitutional to make people wear masks. Well, actually, no. Actually, I'm going to step back for a bit. Now that I stop and think about it, maybe I actually do agree with you a little bit on that one. Maybe, but the thing, maybe I do think it is unconstitutional for governments to make people wear masks. Maybe I do think that, now that I think about it a little bit more. And I think maybe the best way to do this is, the businesses should actually be forcing people to make it. But, I think if businesses make people wear the mask, they'll get the message. But, but the thing is, we do have laws to protect people, though. And I think it's interesting to say, it's not the government's job to save us from ourselves. It's like, well, I'm kind of curious about that, because remember what happened with that Chaz block in Seattle? Look at how much damage was done, the people that died. And today, finally, the mayor of Seattle got a backbone and called the police in and told them basically wipe the area clean. Should the government have not stepped in when people were basically destroying that area and killing each other? I mean, I don't know, because here's the thing. When you say it's not the government's job to save us from ourselves, sometimes ourselves doesn't mean ourselves. It means hey, this drunk person is out there. He's got a gun. He's waving around. He's shooting it. You're not saving him from himself per se, although you're saving him from hurting other people. So I think the government does have a right to do that. I think that's all the government should be doing. I think the government far overreaches, and that's why I'd rather them not be involved in too many things. But no, I don't agree with that. I think the government has every right to step in on this stuff. So, but hey, we can disagree on that one. So here's the thing. Let's hear. Romeo says, "Hey guys, about the drive-in movies place where people drive to watch movies." Yeah, no, I've been enjoying the drive-in movies. We just went last week to see My Spy. We'll probably go this weekend to see Irresistible. So yeah. What about the HTE company buying Chuck E. Cheese? I didn't know that someone was considering buying Chuck E. Cheese. That might be one of tomorrow's topics. And Artem says, I wear PPP 9 hours a day. It's awful, really. Yeah, I could see how it being like 9 hours a day would be rough. It really would be. Most people are not wearing those things that long, though. They'd have to wear for maybe, an hour a day, if that, and maybe not even all at once. So, anyway, let's see here. I think I'm going to skip that one. Romeo says, when it happens... Oh, you're talking to Abstract Echo. So, Anyway, folks, we're going to move on to that. Abstract Echo and I clearly have disagreements on this topic, but, that's fine. We're disagreeing respectfully with one another. That's the difference. So, I'm perfectly fine if you disagree with me in a respectful manner. So, he's not completely wrong either. So, I'm going to move on from that one. Now, Ryan's Treasure says, do you think that might be why HBO doesn't have as much subscriptions as Disney Plus, since people can't get it free with their TV, as far as I know at least? Maybe, but I think the other reason is because they're not on Roku or Amazon TV, and I think that contributes more to HBO Max not being in as many people's houses, is that you basically have to have an Apple TV and a desktop to watch it. So, let's see here. And Romeo says, Kevin, we pay the government from our taxes to do their job, to save and do their job for us. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I still respect you, Abstract Echo. There's no issue. We just disagree on this. That's all. I think the world would be a boring place if we all agreed with one another. What gets me is when people get really, really forceful. And granted, I've been getting a little forceful about it on the show. I acknowledge this has hit me a little bit more personally. I do know people who have died from this. And, kind of like how I know someone who his brother died from drugs. And so when marijuana became legal, and I'm kind of like on a meh, I don't think he should do it, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. But because his brother died from drugs and marijuana was the gateway drug for his brother, he looks at these people smoking pot and he's like, how could you be so stupid? So, it's personal experiences make people have different reactions to these things sometimes. So, anyway, and Stevie says, never been to the drive-in movies? Well, it's fun. It's definitely an experience. So anyway, we are all caught up on the comments. So thank you all for joining me today. Remember, there will be another show tomorrow, but there probably will not be a new show on Friday in observance of the 4th of July, and also my parents are coming into town. So anyway, for anyone who's still watching and didn't get your comments, I'd love to know yeah, George, we talked about Uber buying Postmates earlier in this episode. Comment below, and of course I'll be splitting up the segments into individual videos all across both channels tomorrow. So make sure to tune in and check those out. If you want to, watch them individually, if you missed any topics. In the meantime, comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.